the girls are fighting. I speak about this on our latest podcast, out now. You can listen at the link in bio, and I need your input. But first, a little reminder. Jerry Seinfeld was recently interviewed about political correctness and comedy. Jerry said that back in the 90s, you could get away with so much more. And creatives now are bound because they worry so much about offending other people. Jerry went on and on about the extreme left. Well, in a new interview just published with the New York Times, his Seinfeld co-star and comedian herself from way back on Saturday Night Live to Veep and Seinfeld, Julia Louis-Dreyfus was directly asked about Jerry Seinfeld and his comments, and this is what she had to say. If you look back on comedy and drama, both, let's say 30 years ago, through the lens of today, you might find bits and pieces that don't age well. I think to have an antenna about sensitivities is not a bad thing. It doesn't mean that all comedy goes out the window as a result. She goes on to say, without naming Jerry directly, responding to a question that directly named Jerry, she says, "To me, that's a red flag," complaining, "because it sometimes means something else. I believe being aware of certain sensitivities is not a bad thing. I don't know how else to say it." And that was that. However, Julia Louis-Dreyfus must have sensed that this would become a thing. So after the interview, she reached out to the journalist at the New York Times again to add even more to what she had to say. She says, quote, "I wanted to make sure that I answered this whole idea of political correctness correctly. And I can't really remember what I said, so I wanted to go back to that and be very clear about where I stand. My feeling about all of it is that political correctness, insofar as it equates to tolerance, is absolutely fantastic. And of course, I reserve the right to boo anyone who says anything that offends me, while also respecting their right to free speech, right? I just know that the lens through which we create art today, and I'm not going to just specify it to comedy, it's also drama, it's a different lens. It really is. Even classically wonderful, indisputably great films from the past are riddled with attitudes that today would not be acceptable. So I think it's just good to be vigilant." And I agree with her. My podcast co-host does not. He thinks everything going on today makes comedy worse, like Jerry Seinfeld. What do you make of this all? Let me know in the comments section, and be sure to listen to our podcast wherever you stream your favorite shows or directly at perezpodcast.com.